So hey anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Fairy Tail. So let's start the series. Ninja training is the second lowest level, and ninjas with a lot of experience and skill fall into this group. Ninja training makes up the majority of the ninja community. Less than 1 out of every 20 ninja in training ever achieves the rank of Jounin, or higher-ups among ninjas. They are the elite of the ninja system and possess either high levels of skill or abilities acquired via hard effort and experience. There are only a few dozen S ranks in the world, and they are the strongest ninjas. They can take on a dozen highly talented ninjas at once, and their skills are terrifying. Masters are S ranks who are selected to be the village's leader and spokesperson. However, wizards with various grades, the highest of which is S-class, exist in this universe in addition to ninjas. Each of them have special powers. The wizards were left with few or no occupations because the ninja were considerably more popular. They quickly came to terms with their fate, assimilated into the ninja system, underwent training, and joined the ninja. After discovering their special abilities, wizards were known to join a secret village. However, there was another, higher level. There were only 2 ways to get that position, and they were both very unlikely. The Dragon Slayer rank. It's easier said than done, but one way to obtain this title was to kill a dragon and absorb its fading soul to receive its powers. The 9-tailed fox, the strongest demon, was claimed to be twice as strong and intelligent as any dragon, although a dragon would only attack if provoked. The second method, which is far more difficult than the first, is to kill an existing dragon slayer and absorb his power in order to claim the title of Dragon Slayer. If you can slay someone who is far more dangerous than a dragon. Midnight, in the light of the moon. Natsu was on his knees with a dislocated arm, breathing heavily, and bleeding. Why? Natsu asked the man in front of him. Why what? The man questioned. Why do you want to be a dragon slayer so bad? No, it's more like, why shouldn't I be a dragon slayer? Natsu answered. The man yelled at Natsu. If what you told me is true, then you could have killed that sick old dragon with ease. Natsu stood up and tackled the man, saying, Igneel was old and sick, and I could have taken him down, but there's no way I was gonna kill my father. Just because you're a dragon slayer, doesn't mean you can get away with killing my parent, Natsu said, keeping the man in a body lock while gathering his strength for one last blow. You and that dragon were unique. No one, anyone, has ever heard of a child raised by a dragon, the man stated. I was just curious, I only wanted to see his reaction, I just wanted to see how protective he was of you. I asked if I could kill you, and the next thing I saw was fire. Natsu's body changed, turning to scales as the temperature increased to the point where the surrounding trees began to burn. I won't forgive you, not until I know you're dead. So I'll finish it right here and now, he said. Fire dragons! Flame bomb! Both men were covered in flames, causing an explosion that was powerful enough to send shockwaves more than 100 miles distant to the hidden communities. In the meantime, in the Leaf Village. Come on, Nerda! Sakura! These bells just won't throw themselves at you. A 16-year-old Nerda said to his pink-haired teammate as they stood in front of their teacher, who was attempting to agitate them by swinging the bells around at his fingertips. Okay, Sakura, just follow my lead and we'll get those bells from 6th Head Master Sensei in no time. At that moment, the 6th Head Master lets go of the bells as a shockwave of air rushes through. Nerda caught the bells in midair and exclaimed, All right. This was too easy, Sensei. Afterwards. Ha! He's right, Sensei, looks like you're getting too old for this. Maybe you should have quit while you were ahead. Hey, come on guys, can't we have a do-over? Lady Tsunade's gonna have my ass for this if she finds out. You know what, how about I treat you guys to a free meal and you make sure Lady Tsunade doesn't find out? Nerda pointed behind the 6th headmaster and said, Sensei. I'm not gonna look back. If I don't look back, she won't be standing there. Oh, 6th headmaster, make sure Lady Tsunade doesn't find out what exactly? She's standing behind me, isn't she? Returning to Natsu. Crawling out of a huge crater, Natsu groaned. God. He was holding his opponent's fur jacket when he said, I can't believe I actually lived through that. He then turned to face the crater, which contained the remains of Laxus, the now diseased lightning dragon slayer. I'm going to keep this, he thought. The dead body then abruptly began to evaporate and transform into pure energy, which entered Natsu through his mouth and nose. At that point, Natsu passed out. Sunrise half a day later. Man! What a crazy dream! Natsu exclaims as she surveys her surroundings, noting the absence of the forest and the presence of the jacket and a massive crater. Ah! Damn it! But hold on. My arm! Natsu examines himself and discovers that all of his wounds have healed. It doesn't even hurt. Natsu tightened his fist and said, "So this is what it feels like to have the power of 2 dragons." His increased strength and prestige brought him no joy. All he could feel was grief. He knelt on the ground and muttered, "This wasn't worth Ignil's life." He remained there in silence, lamenting the death of his foster parents and reflecting on his life with Ignil, the good times, the places they had been, and the people he had met along the way. Then he got to his feet. He silently vowed to himself at that same instant, "I refuse to allow anyone else to perish." As though sensing the environment, he closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and focused. Then he opened his eyes and looked in one way. "I did pledge to come find her, so I might as well join the village she told me about since I was already about to join one." The following day, Leaf Village Gate. Natsu had a tiny bag on his back and was wearing a black vest with a white scarf wrapped around his neck. "What do you mean my previous residence? I already told you. I traveled with Ignil and slept in caves my whole life," said Natsu, denting the checkpost counter with his palms. "What's the problem here? What's all this commotion so early in the morning?" A formal yet feminine voice asks as someone else enters the town through the gate. "Oh, it's nothing. It's just that this man here claims to be a wizard and wants to join the ninja force, but he won't tell us where he used to live." The redhead then begins examining Natsu from head to toe, even circling him and raising his arms. "Oh, a wizard you say?" he asks. The gatekeepers, Izumo and Kotetsu, whispered to each other. "Hey, you think she's checking him out?" "No way, man! I hear Urza only goes for the strong men." "Yeah, but I heard she's looking for someone she can spend the rest of her life with." "Marriage? Seriously?" Natsu seemed perplexed after being watched and prodded from every direction. "Hey, are you a pervert?" Natsu said in a kind tone and with a bright smile. After then, the 2 gatekeepers were sweating and cold. Only God knew what would remain of the poor fool's body. Urza blinked and said. Natsu blinked. "No," was Urza's response. "Oh, that's fine. Ignil said I should stay away from pervs. Don't know what they are, though." "It appears this man wasn't lying. Being a former wizard myself, I can tell he holds a vast amount of magic power," she says, turning to face the terrified gatekeepers. She gestures for him to follow her as she turns to face the adolescent who was attempting to touch her sword when she wasn't looking. "Come with me, I'll escort you to Lady Tsunade myself." They walked in silence for a few minutes until Urza eventually said something. "You hide it well, your power. If I wasn't as skilled as I am, then I probably wouldn't even notice." Natsu smiled and said, "I wasn't trying to hide it, I was just practicing to control it. By the way, you can call me Natsu Drangnil. And you can call me Urza Scarlet, Urza for short." Urza looked straight ahead and said, "So Natsu, tell me what magic do you use? I'm quite curious." With a casual shrug, Natsu answered, "Nothing special, just plain old Dragon Slayer magic." "Oh, just plain old Dragon Slash. Wait. Did you just say you knew Dragon Slayer magic? You couldn't learn it without being a Dragon Slayer?" Urza questions him anxiously as she closes her eyes and shakes her head. "Well, yeah. I am a Dragon Slayer." "You must be joking. If you were truly a Dragon Slayer, then I'm pretty sure I would have known about you, plus there are only 8 Slayers currently known in the world." Natsu responded angrily. "That's because I just turned into a Dragon Slayer yesterday." Urza questioned doubtfully. "Oh really? Who was it that you took the rank from?" "Laxus," was the voice that Natsu spat forth. Urza's gaze grew wide. "He defeated Laxus. However, that isn't feasible. Laxus was renowned for taking on and defeating the Rhyme Master and Killer Bee in a 2-on-1 match. He claims that he beat Laxus yesterday, but how can he just say that? I'll let Lady Tsunade take care of things." They proceeded directly to the headmaster tower after passing through the settlement. As they made their way to the office, Urza said, "The headmaster's office is just around the corner. Remember to be polite to her, Natsu." Natsu murmurs, Yeah, nagging me after just having met." Urza tells the headmaster, "Lady Tsunade, I have a wizard with me asking for permission to join our ranks." Currently, a blonde, curvaceous woman is drinking while her desk is piled high with documents. I'm sort of busy right now and I was actually waiting for you to come back from your mission. The case master was kidnapped by the Akatsuki. I need you to go as support for 6th Headmaster and his team to rescue Gaara. this man can join the ranks after we deal with this problem. I accept the mission, but I must tell you that this man is no ordinary wizard. According to him, he's a dragon slayer, Urza remarked with an authoritative voice. A dragon slayer? Exclaimed Tsunade, pointing to Natsu. Do you have proof of being a dragon slayer? Because I never heard of you before. Well, I just got my powers yesterday, so I don't think you could have heard of me. So, you beat a dragon, which one? No, I took the rank from another dragon slayer. It's not often that a dragon slayer visits your office and requests to be your subordinate, so the headmaster was curious, asking, Who? Natsu looked at the sleeping pig on the floor and picked his ear, saying, It was Laxus. Laxus? Do you have any proof of his death? Anything that belongs to him? Sure. Will this do? Natsu pulled Laxus's coat from his bag and presented it to the headmaster, who examined it from both the inside and the outside. Although it had burn marks all over it, with dry blood and charred skin trapped inside, it appeared to be Laxus's. This coat, Laxus always wore this in every battle he fought. It can withstand the killing blows of both the Rhyme Master and Killer Bee at the same time. Let's see if it's true, she said, placing the coat on her table and karate chopping it. The paper flew everywhere and the table broke in half, but the coat was unharmed. I think this really is Laxus's. I'll have Shizen confirm it. Okay, I'll give you a chance to be one of my ninja, but only after we resolve this current problem with the kidnapping. That's fine, I can wait. Attitude, Natsu exits the office and shuts the door. The headmaster hands Urza the task scroll and asks, Should we just leave him like that? Urza grinned and accepted the scroll, saying, Don't worry, I believe he is harmless. I'll be going now, good day Lady Tsunade. The ninja in armor also leaves the room and shuts the door. Tsunade murmurs to herself, Why do I feel like something is about to happen? I need a drink. And a fresh workstation. The gate of Leaf Village. Urza told an adolescent with raven hair and no shirt, whose arms were bandaged. I'll be going for a mission, I might not come back for a couple of days. Want me to come with you? Urza shouted angrily. No, Gray, I already told you to go back to the hospital. Fine. Geez, Urza, it's only a couple of scratches. Gray Fullbuster said as he began to move away from the gate and toward the village's structures. He gave one more glance before vanishing behind a corner. As she began to tree-hop out of the settlement, Urza thought, Only Gray would want to go fight S-rank ninja right after a battle against Jilo's men. Natsu exclaimed, Man! Hopping on trees at this speed sure is hard, as he struggled to stay up with Urza. So you were following me? Urza pointed at Natsu and exclaimed, Just to let you know, I'm not a weak little girl you should be worrying over. Natsu tilted his head and muttered, Me? Worried about you? I think you're pretty tough, so I wouldn't worry. He grinned. Natsu, how did you even find me? Urza wondered after a bit, her expression bewildered. Can you sense people? She inquired. At her direction, he sniffed once more. Strawberry cake? Nope, nothing like that, I just used my nose, you smell like metal and never mind the cake, blushed Urza. Just keep up with me if you want to help, she exclaimed, quickening her pace. He grinned and exclaimed, Oh, I'll help all right, before punching his fist and yelling, I'm all fired up now. The following day, outside Akatsuki's hideout. Now! Sakura! Exclaimed the sixth headmaster. Sakura said, Got it! As she dashed at the enormous rock, raising her fist. HAA! The rock was turned to pieces in a matter of seconds. Nida said, Come on, let's rescue Gaara! As he dashed inside the hiding place. He ran into the elderly woman and the teenage girl who were following him inside and remarked, Well, it's too late to call him back. The sixth headmaster saw him and exclaimed, Come on, let's back him up. Nida sent forth two enormous shurikens from a scroll and said, Get away from Gaara! A metallic tail that emerged from beneath Sasori's cloak, the puppet master, repelled them. A blond man wearing a black cloak with red clouds sat atop an immobile Gaara and said, Now this seems interesting, he really is loud and irritating, Itachi was right. Sasori! The nine-tails brat is mine! He exclaimed after making a clay bird that swallowed the Gaara's body whole. Try and catch me, brat! He yelled as he rode the bird out of the hiding place. Go! I can handle this myself. Lady Chiyo turned to face Sasori. Sakura stated, I'll help her sensei. To the headmaster of 6. The sixth headmaster gestured for Nida to follow him, saying, Fine then, Sakura. Lady Chiyo, you'll have to take care of the puppet master for a while. Nida and I will go after the man who took the case master, We'll be back as soon as we can. Naruto yelled. Don't worry, Granny Chio, I'll bring back Gaara, as he hurried outside to support his sensei. A short while later, with 6th Headmaster and Naruto. The 6th Headmaster uncovered his left eye and displayed his own Mangekyo Sharingan, saying, Okay Naruto, I'm about to do my special technique. Kamui! The method started to whirl and draw in the region surrounding Deidara's torso. Then he began to struggle and suddenly smiled. I've never seen something like this, do you think? Toby frequently engages in similar behavior. He made another clay bird that was directly in the line of sight of the 6th Headmaster. The bomber just lost a piece of his cloak when the invention was sucked in. Looking at the 6th Headmaster, Naruto said, Damn it! How did he know about your technique, sensei? I don't know, maybe Itachi could do something similar and told him. Deidara said, Was that really the best you could do? Pathetic. While perched on his bird, he said, This is what a real attack looks like, as he produced a swarm of clay locusts that emerged from his hands' mouths. After making one last attempt to utilize his Kamui on the lethal clay, the 6th Headmaster pondered. There's no way around something like this. My Kamui can only target a small area and we're surrounded. Don't worry, brat. I'm positive the 9 tails will keep you alive long enough for us to extract it out of you. Now, time for you to see beautiful art, because art is an explosion. Hiya! Deidara exploded his locust swarm around the 2 ninjas. Trees and the clay bird he was flying on were blown away by the explosion's ferocity, which also rocked the region surrounding 6th Headmaster and Naruto. Looking at the explosion, Deidara said, Ha 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 ha! That was beautiful. Truly a masterpiece, she said. A sucking sound abruptly stopped him from laughing. A suction voice called out from the quickly diminishing fire. SSSSSLPPPP. In a matter of seconds, Natsu, who was holding on to Naruto's and 6th Headmaster's shoulders while his scarf continued to move with the wind, swallowed the fire. Natsu smiled and remarked, Thanks for the meal, but it needs more flavor. With Chio and Sakura. As a compartment in his chest opens, releasing hundreds of core energy threads, Sasori remarked, The ability of a puppet master is said to be measurable by the number of puppets one can control. You were famous for your Chikamatsu collection of 10 puppets, summoning Manzaman Chikamatsu's 10 masterpiece puppets. You were able to take down a fortress on your own at your prime. Sasori used his red secret technique, performance of 100 puppets, and surrounded Sakura. Sakura said, We aren't going to last long if this keeps up. HAA. As she smashed several puppets by catching one that was coming her way and swinging it at those nearby. As he saw the 2 smash his puppets, Sasori exclaimed, I'll definitely be turning both of you into puppets. How about this then? Puppet string prison! Toward the same moment, all of the puppets abruptly let off a lot of ninja wire toward the 2 ninjas. In a moment, they were both intertwined. Sasori approached them gently and remarked, There, now you won't be going anywhere. Urza said, Oh, I think they'll be going to lots of places. Heaven's wheel! As she summoned numerous swords and other weapons, cutting the wires and freeing the 2 ninja who had been entangled. Sakura pointed at Sasori and yelled, Lady Urza! You came as backup! Ha! Looks like you're in trouble now, creep! Yes, I was told to come assist in the retrieval of the Case Master, Urza answered. Now, do you still wish to fight us? Sasori of the Red Sand! As he turned to depart, Sasori remarked, I know when I'm at a disadvantage I'll be taking my leave now. 3 swords dropped themselves in front of him, stopping him. You didn't think I was going to let you go just like that, now did you? Sasori gave her a narrowed look. Sasori spotted. Well, will you let me go if I give you some valuable information? She knows, I just lost most of my core energy fighting the granny and bratty girl, and I can't afford to fight her. I should just finish you right now, but my priority is the Case Master, so if your information is truly valuable, then I'll consider letting you go. Urza responded. Fine then, 10 days from now go to the Tenchi Bridge. I have a spy in Snake Man's ranks whom I was supposed to meet. Urza aimed her sword towards Sasori and said, That sounds like an ambush. Sasori backed away into the trees and vanished after saying, It's your choice. Oh, and my spy's name is Kabuto. Sakura yelled, Why did you let him go, Lady Urza? We could have taken him down together. As they made their way to battle the bomber. Urza responded as she began to move in the direction of the quickly growing magic energy. It is as I said, the Case Master takes higher priority. He would have kept me here for too long and I wouldn't be able to rescue the Case Master. Sakura said, You're right, I'm sorry for doubting you. No problem, now let's hurry. Returning to the battle with the bomber. You. Deidara said, pointing at Natsu. What the hell did you do to my art? He exclaimed. No one insults my art. And no one, he said, taking clay from his pouch and feeding it to his hands. Say hello to my explosive C2 vultures. He threw 6 clay balls into the air, and they transformed into 6 enormous clay vultures. 2 of the birds approached from above, 1 from the left, 1 from the right, 1 from the back, and 1 from the front. You just don't appreciate fine art. True art lasts only for a single moment. Now, try not to blink, ha! The clay exploded in 0 distance around the dragon, giving off a bright light as it did, turning the fallen trees to ash. Ha ha ha! Did you see that? That was beauty in its finest moments. Deidara landed his clay bird a few feet from the crown of fire, the burning remnants of the explosion, where the 3 last stood. I think I overdid it a little this time. He shook his head, saying, Nah, I'm sure he's just laying around somewhere. He looked at the fire, which didn't seem to be going down, but then it began to rise, growing hotter and hotter until it appeared to explode on itself. As the explosion's light faded, Natsu and the 2 ninjas he was holding stood in the middle of it, surrounded by golden fire. Man, that really got me fired up, Natsu said, removing his hands from the 2 ninjas and commanding his golden flames to vanish. With a croaked voice, Naruto stated, I think my throat is dry. The 6th headmaster requested the identity of his rescuer, saying, Well, you aren't the only one, by the way, thanks for your help, sir? Natsu Drang Neil. Urza told me to split up so we could find you faster, but I already knew where you were. Natsu replied, then smirked. Don't tell her that though. I don't think she'll be happy to hear it. The 6th headmaster nodded to himself, seemingly persuaded by his statement. Sure. I am Hataki's 6th headmaster. That seems like a fair trade, my silence, in exchange for you saving my life. The Scarlet Knight posed a real threat to him. Naruto narrowed his eyes accusingly at 6th headmaster and remarked, I don't really think that's a fair trade, Sensei. And I'm Naruto, he stated, glancing at Natsu. The 6th headmaster attempted to persuade him, saying, Do you esteem me, Naruto? It's seriously a fair trade. Deidara shouted of Natsu. Enough! Shut your damned mouths! Tell me how you survived! Natsu prodded 6th headmaster's hair and inquired, Survive what? My explosives! Damn you! Explosives dash, Natsu said, scratching his head as though he had forgotten that the man had attempted to roast him alive a minute earlier. Oh, you mean the one just now? Yeah. I got hungry so I ate it. Natsu then snapped his fingers and apologized as though he had stolen food. Deidara said in shock. Why you ate it? That's inconceivable. You can't just eat fire. Deidara charged. Yeah, even I didn't know. I never ate so much before. Well, I guess you could say it was just my instincts telling me, Natsu replied. That doesn't matter, you'll still die by my art. Deidara plunged his hands back into his pouches and shaped a dozen spiders and 2 tiny centipedes. Let's see you do your parlor tricks this time, he said, making the centipedes tunnel underground and hurling the spiders in Natsu's direction. Natsu tried shaking his arms to get rid of the spiders that had adhered to his body and covered him, but the centipedes tightened their grip on both of his arms at that very instant. What the dash? Before Natsu could say anything more, the clay burst. Dai! Exclaimed Deidara. Then, with a single swipe of Natsu's hand, the flames abruptly went out. Natsu said, That was your last freebie, and then reeled his right foot back. Let's see how you like it. Fire Dragon's blazing kick. Natsu kicked the air in the direction of the blonde bomber. Suddenly, the air went orange and formed a fiery arc, traveling in Deidara's direction. The bird he was standing on broke a wing and crashed into a ditch, taking Gaara's body, while the blonde attempted to protect himself with only his right arm, which burned to a crisp and came off. With righteous rage, Deidara glanced at his useless arm before turning back to the fire user. You'll pay for that, he said, inserting his left arm into his pouch before beginning to form. He opened his hand and dropped something that looked like a seed onto the ground. Art was said to begin with nature, so you better appreciate it. The clay seed grew roots quickly, turning nearby trees, plants, and other vegetation into clay. Say hello to one of my classics. Exploding forest. The clay-turned vegetation started to move and entangled Naruto, 6th headmaster, and Natsu in its vines. Before the explosion, Natsu escaped his restraints, carried the 2 ninjas cocooned in the vines, and leaped as high as he could, using his fire to propel himself even higher. Now D! Ha! Deidara triggered the spirit art. I'll finish this in one move, Natsu said as he began to inhale and fill his lungs in midair. He then clasped 2 of his hands together in front of his lips and formed a tube with his fist. He threw a huge cyclone of fire at the blonde, being careful to aim it away from the bird in the ditch. Fire dragons! Breath attack! He exclaimed. Deidara said, I can't die yet, not like this. As he watched the flames moving slowly toward him, he made an attempt to hide behind a big rock, but the fire was so intense that everything it touched went to ash. The massive explosion that occurred when Natsu, Naruto, and the sixth headmaster landed reduced the entire forest to ash, and the pressure of the attack either crushed or transformed Deidara's body into ash. Naruto exclaimed, That was awesome! Before turning to glance to the left and right. Hey Natsu, you aimed away from Gaara, right? He asked. Natsu defended himself by saying, Obviously! That's the whole point of me coming here. From behind, a formal feminine voice stated, I hope you did, Drang Neil, or else I would have to hit you. While trying to conceal his pornographic book from her view, the sixth headmaster stammered, Urza! What a pleasant surprise! How did you find us? Ah, sixth headmaster! The fire was a dead giveaway. I see you don't casually read porn in broad daylight anymore. It seems my lessons have helped. Keep it up. Urza was pleased. The sixth headmaster exclaimed, Of course. I have repented from my sinful ways. Sakura and Naruto exchanged a quick look before a sweaty sixth headmaster met their eyes. He understood the cost of keeping quiet, and free meals was the solution. Natsu pointed to the pouch where sixth headmaster kept his book and said, Hey, what was that book you put into your pouch, Silver Spikes? The sixth headmaster interrupted, saying, Hey, how about we go look for Gaara? Yup, he probably needs urgent help. Natsu gestured to a ditch and said, He's over there. Let's get him out of there. Come on, Sakura, Naruto said as he dashed over to the clay bird. In a field of grass close to the village, Sakura stopped in a grassy field next to the village to check on Gaara. He's dead, she murmured in a dejected tone, which greatly saddened Naruto. As the Suna ninja watched, Chio approached Gaara and attempted to utilize her reincarnation technique. I don't have enough life force to bring him back, she said. Then you can use mine. Naruto kindly donated his own core energy, and Chio successfully brought Gaara back to life at the expense of her own life. 10 minutes following Gaara's resurrection, a sizable group of ninja were gathering, grinning with happiness. A red-haired woman and a smiling dragon slayer stood apart from the crowd. I heard from sixth headmaster that Akatsuki member couldn't even damage you. In fact, you were toying with him. I guess I can't deny you being a dragon slayer, Urza said with folded arms. And since you are a dragon slayer, if you still intend to join our ranks, I will personally vouch for you. That's practically me saying it's guaranteed now. She extended her hand to him. So, do you accept? Did you even have to ask? It's obviously yes, Natsu said, shaking her hand. Returning to the battlefield. That was some intense art. I actually wouldn't mind if I had died, Deidara said, rising from the ground beside a large rock. That was some intense art. He shook his head. GH. Stupid sigh. I must be really dehydrated. And left to find the right arm he had lost. Mavis, the guild's first master, established Fairy Tail on Tenro Island. The Leaf Village was constructed concurrently. The guild's only goal is to support kids with magical powers, assist them in managing their special strength, and shield them from people who would misuse their skills. There has always been a strong bond between the two groups. After completing their training, Fairy Tail wizards were expected to join the Leaf Village. A day following the rescue effort, beyond the boundaries of Leaf Village, 8 individuals were making their way to Leaf Village. Guy, Naruto, Sakura, Lee, Jet, Natsu, Urza, and the 6th headmaster. The 6th headmaster approached the armored woman. Hey Urza, tell me about your last mission. You were supposed to take down 1/3 of a Rouge guild. How did that go? It wasn't really much of a challenge. All I had to do was transform into one of their members and I got into their base with ease. I also listened into their conversations and found out that they were going to attack a group of strong wizards. They also said that they needed a cursed magical item, and that the group of strong wizards were supposed to be attacked at their next meeting. No one knew who the group of strong wizards were. All they said was that their higher-ups knew the details. Urza responded. Guy said, and how many men did your power of youth defeat? Her response was succinct. 50. The younger generation was conversing with them as they walked closely behind them. Lee said to the girl with the pink hair, Sakura, why didn't you ask us to join you in your mission? She huffed and crossed her arms in response. Well, it serves you right for not asking if I wanted to come at that hot spring mission, she said. Okay, but the mission asked for a maximum number of 3 ninjas, male ninjas, and we left an apology letter, yet you still run off without a word. You could have left us a note or something. We are a team now. Even after almost 2 years on the team, you can't remember that. Jet whined. If only we got Levi instead, she's so smart and elegant. With a wounded tone, Naruto remarked. So you joined a new team? Nerd. I didn't want to, but Lady Tsunade was very insistent. The wizards from Fairy Tail had completed their training. 6 months after you left, all of them were assigned to a team. In fact, I'm not the only one who had to join a new team. Lady Tsunade made a new system for the Rookie 9, Team Guy and the wizards who graduated. Each ninja was put into a specified team. I'm with Lee, Jet and Guy Sensei, and we've been the close combat squad. Niji, Kiba, Shino and Aoba as their senior are the recon and tracking squad. Tenten, Cute Ninja, Lisana and Anko Sensei as their senior are the infiltration and stealth squad. Lucy, Levi, Kana and Kurani Sensei as their senior are the support squad. Gray, Lady Urza and Elfman make the anti-magic squad. They deal with complex magical stuff only wizards understand. Lady Mira, Freed, and Billow are the anti-magic squad 2. She told her former colleague. Natsu entered the pink-haired girl's personal space and made her blush by asking, Wait, did you just say the name Lisana? When she composed herself, Sakura said, Yeah, do you know Lisana? Well, it depends. Does this Lisana have short blue hair and pale purple eyes? Natsu said, hoping that was the case. No, but I think you just described Cute Ninja when she was little, replied Sakura. Natsu remarked sadly. Then it's not her. Lisana made sure I didn't forget her name. She even wrote it on a tree with my name right next to it. So how did you meet the Lisana you described? Sakura inquired, trying to lift his spirits. She even mutely pleaded with the others to support her. Naruto exclaimed. Yeah, tell us! With enthusiasm. Come on, I want to know too. I've known Lisana since I joined the guild. Jet responded. Urza remarked inquisitively. Yes, I would also like to know. I've known Lisana since she was just a little girl. Well, it was a long time ago, when I just started learning my breath attack. Natsu clarified. Long story short, I was practicing a technique and saw a blue-haired, pale-eyed girl. Her foot got injured and her throat was dry. She was running from some bad men. I beat the guys up but got my eyes and nose poisoned. I couldn't see or smell anything, temporarily. In fact, I passed out. When I wake up, I hear the girl I just rescued screaming for help again and was being chased by 3 more unwanted guests. I beat them up. But the girl actually climbed up a tree. When I helped her down, the first thing I asked was her name, and at that moment, I've known her as Lisana. The armored ninja remarks. I guess it must be a different Lisana, because I don't think I've ever heard this story from her before. In response, the Dragon Slayer says, Yup, told ya. The headmaster's office 10 minutes later. The headmaster addressed the white-haired man and armored woman standing in front of her table, saying, So let me get this straight. You're telling me that this man here dash. She waved at the Dragon Slayer wearing Guy's spandex. Is confirmed to be a Dragon Slayer, and that he toyed with an S-ranked ninja, before turning an entire forest into ash. The man with white hair responded, Yes, Lady Headmaster. After closing her eyes and giving it some thought, the headmaster stated, And he wants to be a part of my village and ninja, is this true? She turned to face the Dragon Slayer, who was fixated by Guy's hair. Pretty much, was his straightforward response. The headmaster grinned and said, Well then, sign this and you'll be a valuable ninja of the Leaf Village. She clasped her hands together and handed him a slip of paper. Well then, welcome to 6 months or maybe up to a year of training. Due to your condition, you'll receive your ninja training during missions and first-hand experience, since you can obviously take care of yourself. Natsu pointed to the contract and said, What does this thing say about burning stuff? The headmaster responds, If anything gets damaged, then it's a training accident. He sings, Hell yeah, and returns it to the headmaster. The blonde nods to herself and says, Congratulations. You are now my personal subordinate. Yeah, subordinate. That's what I said. Well? She asks the 3 ninja trainers and 1 genin present. What is it, Granny? Naruto responds with a query of his own. Aren't you going to introduce him to your friends? He's the same age as you, Tsunade said. Sakura shouted. Oh, how impolite of us. She rushes to take Natsu's hand, but the armor-clad woman beats her to the punch. Would you want to follow us, Lady Urza? She asks hesitantly. Sure, if you insist. Sakura perspires. You think you can just tag along anytime you want? Simply because your chest is made of melons? She smiles despite her eye twitching. After some time, the market district. Natsu questioned the pink-haired girl who was pulling him to a barbecue restaurant. So you're saying that your friends already planned a welcome party for Naruto, and you're gonna use that party as an excuse to introduce me to them? With a more or less response. The 6 of them went into the eatery. A large white dog jumped on Naruto and there was a loud, "Welcome back!" celebration. "Ha ha ha! Akamaru! You're massive now!" Naruto patted the dog's head. "Kiba!" Naruto turned to face the dog's master and said, "You still look like you haven't gone to a dentist." The dog handler smiled mockingly and shot back, "And you still look like you need to wear less orange." Sakura brought Natsu to the restaurant, where a sizable group of teens were present, and introduced him to each person in the 2 booked rooms. "This is Shino, this is Natsu." "Hey man, aren't you feeling hot in that jacket and ski mask?" Natsu: "No." "This is Niji, he's always a bit cold." "Hi. I'm Natsu, and you look like someone I know." "Oh. So you think all Hyugas are lookalikes? That's racism, wow, chill out man." "This is Kiba, he might have fleas so don't stand too close." "Really? That's so awesome. How many times do I have to tell you? I don't have fleas." "This is Shikamaru, or as everyone likes to call him, lazy ass, oh, and he's going to say T-. Troublesome, are you always this annoying, Sakura?" Natsu addressed the teenager who fell asleep during their talk. "Hey, is it true you sleep a lot? That's so cool," Natsu said. "Choji, stop trying to choke yourself, hello? I'm Ino, and you must be," she murmurs, "single? Are you a pervert?" he asks, blinking. After saying, "Let's go meet Lady Urza's sidekicks teammates," Sakura pulls him away. "Hey, I'm Gray." Natsu wonders, "Why do you not have pants?" "You know, I ask myself that question all the time, it must be some twisted joke put onto me by some higher power." Gray pauses to consider his response before answering. "Yeah, I guess that makes sense. This is Elfman, he's a bit dash." "Yeah. Manly. I'm a man." "Whoa. I'm a man too." The Dragon Slayer is greeted by a blonde girl with a short blue skirt and white shirt who says, "Hello, I'm Lucy." Sakura chose to introduce Natsu to her other friend after noticing that Lucy was now attempting to hide her identity. "Yeah, how about we say hello to Levi?" The female with short blue hair remarked. "Wow, your muscles are just popping out," while admiring the Dragon Slayer's abs. "I know, right? Yet, no one ever notices." Levi muttered, "I notice, let's have a drink with Kana," while he continued to stare. I can smell vomit building up inside you." "Really, that's so sweet." "Hey, I'm Bixlo, wanna say hello to my babies?" "You're wearing armor just like Urza. And you have floating talking faces. Can I have one?" "Sorry, maybe some other time." "Hi. I'm Ten. Is that a 10 or Tenin?" "Ten. Do you have a last name?" Her eyes begin to moisten. Well, you see no," she says. Natsu gives her a back pat and says, There. My name is Freed and my hobby is keeping my hair silky smooth. I like my hair spiked up. You should try it sometimes." "Hello? I'm Mary Jane and I think I've seen you somewhere before." "You look just like the white demon that keeps strangling me in my nightmares. No, it can't be called dreams anymore." "Yeah, I think I've met you somewhere too." When Natsu sees her grinning while keeping her eyes closed, he shudders. A girl with blue hair and pale eyes asks Natsu. "Hello, Natsu, do you remember me?" Sakura says. "So it was Cute Ninja," as her eyes enlarge. As she enters her private space, Natsu responds. "You look so much like someone I know. Have we met before? I feel like I know you." With hope, she begs. "Did you remember rescuing me from those men?" "Yes. Finally I found ya. I do remember. Your ankle was stuck and your hair was shorter, all of it." He takes her in his arms. "Finally! I promised I'd come find ya, Lee-sana." A pink-haired girl hits Natsu on the head, saying, "Get your facts straight." Natsu smiles, but then realizes he said the wrong name. "I'm not Lee-sana, my name is Cute Ninja." Her eyes begin to water. "Hey! What did I do wrong? You're the one who told me that your name was Lee-sana. You even wrote it." "Natsu?" With a naive smile, Natsu asks a white-haired girl who has a blue cat perched on her shoulder. "Yeah? Do I know you?" She leaps into him for an embrace, saying, "Don't you remember? It's me, Lee-sana. I missed you so much." "What the?" I don't know you. As she crossed her arms and turned away, she muttered, What? Even after I wrote down our names and made you promise? That's not nice. Looks like I'll have to use your weakness to punish you. He heard her, and his eyes widened. But Dash? You told people. He asked you, ninja. W what? Ag. This is frying my head. Sakura leads Natsu, Lee-sana, cute ninja, and Ino to a booth apart from the others and says, Look, how about we all sit down and discuss this? Natsu can tell us the whole story in detail this time. Natsu wonders, Why is Ino here? Ino yells, What? You don't like me? It's because she's good at deciphering and solving stuff. She's a mind reader. Ino, can you take us into the memories of when Natsu met the girl he keeps talking about? She says to the Dragon Slayer. Fine, but you have to make sure not to let go of my hand the whole time, O.K? I guess I can do that. Although you only needed to touch there, he dash. Silence. Now, join hands everyone. If you say so. Fine. Okay. I. Just get on with it, Ino. A flashback to Natsu's early years in a forest. A 9-year-old Natsu yelled, Fire dragons! Breath attack! As he directed the fire onto a massive boulder in a clearing. I'm almost done with this technique. Igneel told me that if I could melt a piece of that rock, he would show me some new things. The boulder was barely warm, but the onslaught subsided. Damn it! In the meantime, in the same forest, the group leader of the mercenary ninjas gave one of the men instructions to pull the wooden cart that the box was chained to, saying, Check the box, the Hyuga heiress hasn't made a sound in a while, I think she passed out, and punch some holes into that thing, she's no good to us dead. Sir! She somehow cut a hole underneath and escaped, the man exclaimed in haste after checking. You fools! Find her! The leader commanded. The commander exclaimed, Yes, Sir! And the 3 ninjas dispersed. Returning to Natsu. Ha ha! Natsu gasped, tired and on all fours. This is impossible, he said. Igneel probably told me to do this so he could relax. Foolish lizard. Then he heard a disturbance and abruptly got to his feet. It sounded like a branch falling. He moved toward the source of the sound. A blue-haired girl of his age had tripped over a root next to a tree, getting her foot caught, and became alarmed upon seeing the child. Natsu attempted to assist her by pulling her foot out for her, but she began to cry and retreated as he approached. Hey, you shouldn't pull on that too hard, you'll twist your ankle. Confused by her response, Natsu questioned, Why are you crying? Are you hurt? She responded incoherently. Natsu removed her foot and remarked, You can't talk, they're all done. The only word that came out of her dry throat was, Help. When Natsu heard her voice again, she inquired, Do you need some water? He began to move, but as soon as she realized he was leaving, she yanked his shirt and begged him to stay. She nodded and attempted to get up but fell back down, her ankle beginning to swell. I told you should have just let me help. Wait here, I'll go get some water. He thought. Look, if you don't let go, I can't get water. She seemed to be informing him that she didn't require water by shaking her head. Natsu gestured to his back and said, Okay, then hop on. Just to get me water, he's going to carry me on his back? The girl pondered. When she didn't respond, he recalled. Oh yeah, I forgot that your throat was dry, just hold on a little longer. Natsu picked up his speed and eventually arrived at a lake. By the way, I'm Natsu Dragneel. And I'm learning Dragon Slayer magic. What's your name? He said as he began to walk. She began drinking water with her hands after he set her down. You know, this is probably the longest I ever talked to someone, other than Igneel of course. I usually talk to people only when I go buy new clothes. Natsu stated to her. Tihan Kyu, was her response. Her voice was still too low, and her throat still ached, but she was finally able to speak intelligibly. He didn't understand her typical Japanese bow, so she said, Oh, that was nothing, I'm glad to help. After a little period of silence, Natsu questioned, What were you doing so out into the forest? No one ever comes here, it's why Igneel picked this spot. Biad mn chase ing me was difficult for her to utter due to her sore throat. Bad guys, huh? Don't worry, I'm an awesome wizard. I'll beat those guys up. Just point me to them and they're as good as dust. Natsu exclaimed. Step away from the girl. A man with a blank headband commanded as a kunai struck the area adjacent to him. Natsu said as he began his technique. Oh, you're the one who was bothering my friend here. Well, it's your lucky day. You get to be my first test dummy for my fire dragons. Breath attack. The ninja utilized a substitution before the spinning stream of flames fully consumed him. The ninja appeared in a puff of smoke behind Natsu and used his feet to pin him down. That wasn't bad, kid. You almost got me there. His entire left side, including his face, was red and appeared to be sunburned. You could have taken me down if your attack actually had any strength behind it. Was that technique used for lighting candles? Ha ha ha, the man said, grabbing Natsu's hair and pulling on it before repeatedly hitting the 9-year-old's head to the ground. The young girl attempted to stop the man by tackling him after witnessing the horrifying scene, but he punched her in midair. Please stop, she pleaded. No can do, princess. This guy here is a witness of your kidnapping. He's gonna have to be put down. The man joyfully grabbed Natsu's elbows and began twisting them. Fire Dragon's flaming elbow. His twisted elbow shot a stream of fire straight to the man's face and torso. Aya! Ayag! The man screamed in agony as he held his burned face. You little shit! I'm gonna kill you! He raged. He tried to feel around him, but was knocked out by a rock thrown by the 9-year-old boy. The man took the girl's hand and pulled her to her feet after Natsu kicked him between the legs, saying, "And stay down! See, I told you I could take him," he boasted. Hey! What's the big-eyed dash? Natsu stopped when he noticed the enormous metal star embedded where he was standing. Thanks, I guess we're even. He got back up and turned to face the trees. He sniffed the air and yelled, I know you're there, I can smell both of ya. He pointed to them. The girl then suddenly had a scared expression on her face and threw the boy to the ground with her. Without notice, the two guys emerged and used a fire technique on Natsu. The boy did nothing to escape, and the girl watched as the boy was covered in flames, crying whenever she heard the fire. One of the men shouted, How do you like that, bastard? Don't play with fire in your next life. As he attempted to seize her, the other man replied, Now, come here, little princess, we'll take you to your new home. Hey, thanks for the meal, Natsu said to the men as he patted his belly. But let me show you what real fire looks like. Natsu began to breathe. Take cover behind the trees. The two men fled to the woods. Hold it! Punks! Exclaimed a voice from the fire, and then the fire began to fade until everyone saw the boy sucking the remainder into his mouth. That won't rescue you. He yelled the name of his method. Fire Dragon's breath attack! But this time the trees burned down, the two men were burned alive, and the fire was 4 times larger than the last time he used it. Here! Natsu gasped as his lover sat him down next to a tree and supported him with her shoulder. Thank you, Natsu, I wish my throat didn't hurt as much, I want to thank you so much. The girl thought as she observed him with her pale purple eyes. I just noticed how weird your eyes are, I never saw anyone with eyes like yours. He stated as Natsu laughed, and the girl cocked her head in inquiry. She looked aside, pouted, and crossed her arms to demonstrate that she disliked being made fun of. Natsu rose up and took her hand to help her up, saying, Hey! I meant it as a compliment. She grinned to demonstrate that she was forgiving of him. When Natsu discovered he was being watched, he muttered to himself, Now, where should I take you to? And then he got rigid. Damn it, how many of them are there? Natsu yelled, gesturing for the girl to get behind him. The mercenary ninja captain yelled, Imbeciles! Can't even take down a couple of brats! While examining the corpses of his fellows. Very well. I'll simply dispose of you and take the girl. Don't blink, little boy. The captain then threw objects at the boy and attempted to protect himself from the smoke-releasing balls. Ha! Is that it? I can still smell ya! And it's not even blocking my sight! Natsu yelled when he realized the smoke bombs had no effect. Oh, so you can smell me? Well, you just made it easier for me, the man said. Natsu's eyes began to water, and his nose turned red. He fell to his knees and screamed in pain. What the hell is this? It's burning my eyes. And my nose! Agha! You like it? It's very simple really, the smoke causes a chemical reaction to sensitive areas like the nose and eyes. Your eyesight will probably be very foggy for a day or 4. That is, if I let you live that long. Which I won't! The man yelled as he ran toward Natsu, brandishing a kunai. Dai! He attempted to stab the boy, but was punched in the face with a flaming fist. I can still hear you, moron! Natsu muttered as he fell into a state of exhaustion. The man lost consciousness. When the girl saw her hero go unconscious, she became terrified. Oh no! Natsu! He's alive! She said, carefully placing him on his back and placing her ear next his chest. I must go get some water. I can do this, she said resolutely as she turned back to face the lad after attempting to go towards the water but tripping over her ankle. She hobbled over to the lake, pulling his body with her. now placing the water in his mouth. She used her hands to gather water, but she was unsure of how to open his mouth without spilling the water. She thought, blushing, I'll have to give it to him and mouth to mouth. I have no other option. It's an emergency, she said, putting her hands over his mouth and putting the water in her own. This is something I must do. Now or never, she said, bringing her flushed face closer and using her hands to open his mouth. When his eyes opened, her lips were almost touching his. Hey dash. He started his mouth to say, but she slammed her head into his face, knocking him unconscious again. No. I was quite near, the girl pondered. She heard a Leaf Ninja shout. I found Lady Cute Ninja! She was soon surrounded by Leaf Ninja, and then her father arrived. Cute Ninja, did this boy harm you? She shook her head in response. Very well, come, we are leaving now. It is said that a dangerous dragon lives around here. Hayashi Hyuga attempted to pull her away from the boy, but she resisted. We do not have any further use of this boy, he's dead weight. He pulled the girl and dragged her away. And dispose of these men, finish what the boy started. She gave her savior one final glance as she was being pulled away, saying, Thank you. And I shall always remember you, Natsu. After an hour. After complaining. Ag. My nose! I can't smell anything. Natsu attempted to get to his feet but collapsed again. I can't even see my fingers. All I see are blurs. This is crazy. He made another attempt at standing up and was successful. Did that girl just abandon me? He heard a cry. Help! Get away from me, you dirty apes! Help! Ho! Ho! Come here, little girl! When Natsu abruptly sprang to his feet, he noticed 3 big blurs pursuing a much smaller blur. It must be her because that scream sounded like that of a young child. And those guys must be pursuing her once more. The talking gorillas pursuing the little girl fled from the fire-breathing kid, saying, It's the dragon! It took a human form! Run for your lives! As the girl climbed up a big tree and Natsu ran after it, shouting his attack. Fire Dragon's Breath attack! Natsu yelled. Ha! Keep running, you pansies! At the receding blurs. No. What happened to? She. He glanced about before yelling. Hey! It's all right now. You can come out, I chased them away. The white-haired girl noticed a boy her age with salmon-colored hair when she looked down from her tree. Thank you? But I don't think I can climb down, I'm stuck, she said. You sure know how to get into trouble. Just jump, I'll catch ya, Natsu said, positioning himself beneath the tree's blur. Are you sure? She questioned doubtfully. Yeah. I'm good at catching stuff. Trust me. The girl sprang. Natsu extended his arms. She approached. He braced himself, and she was almost in his arms when she exclaimed. Ugh! A large blue egg lay on a tree, and as she fell, she unintentionally struck it with her feet. Natsu was able to capture the egg, but a white-haired girl struck him in the head. She rubbed her head and said, Oh! I think I hurt my head. Natsu stood up as well. Yeah, me too, he said, glancing at the blur in his hands. Hey, what's this thing I'm holding? He asked the girl. She waved her palm in front of his eyes, but he didn't react. Huh! Can't you see? It's a big blue egg. Are you blind? She asked. At her request, Natsu answered. What? No. It's just that fog from earlier. I think the guy said I won't be able to see or hear much for a couple of days. What fog? She inquired. Don't you remember? From the balls the last guy threw at us. Oh. Yeah. That fog. How silly of me, she said, giving him an odd look. He must have hit his head too hard, poor guy. I'll just pretend I know what he's talking about. Oh, and how does your throat feel better? You couldn't say a word before, and were you running? Did your ankle also get better? Natsu inquired the youngster. He's insane. I can't back out now, though. Yeah. I'm a fast healer and my throat got better just a little while ago. Gazing at the egg beside the girl, Natsu said. Oh. That's great. Now. I'm about to ask you something very important. She waved her arms and yelled. I'm over here. He continued to stare at the egg and added. Make absolutely sure we won't be disturbed this time. Okay. Now tell me. Tell you? Don't interrupt. Okay. Tell me. Is he intentionally doing this? I'm doing this on purpose. Tell only me. What the fuck? He looked at the egg and murmured. Your name. With a serious attitude. The girl answered in a monotone. It's Lisa. What's your name? She said. Did she strike her head too forcefully? I think I gave her my name. It's Natsu! Natsu drank Neil! He exclaimed proudly as he stood. She grinned at his excitement and said, That's a nice name, Natsu. Some time later. So tell me again, why are we building a house? Natsu said, obviously annoyed by her poor vision. You're the one who said you'd take care of the dragon egg with me. As he piled the dried grass inside the hut, Natsu moaned. But I didn't know we had to build a house. She patted the roof and said, Come on, just a little more, it's gonna rain soon. There. All done, now don't come out, it's starting to rain. After several more minutes, Lee-sana grinned and told Natsu, Remember, you have to keep it warm, so put your arms around it. He gestured to their position, placing the egg between them and their arms folded around each other. I get that, but do we have to be so close? He asked. Looking at him, she said, Of course. Our baby needs all the warmth it can get. Instead, you know, Natsu, we look just like a family right now. Natsu blushed and said, Shut up. Her hair looks different, nah. It must be my eyes. You know, we could be a real family, if you want. He covered his ears and said, La la la. I don't hear anything. La la la. The following day, the second day, Lee-sana asked the youngster sitting in a contemplative position in front of her. Okay, now tell me the meaning of accuse. Does it imply to blame someone? He answered uncertainly. You're actually quite quick to pick things up. Everything I've ever learned from my sister is already known to you, she cheered. Hi, Lee-sana. What happened to your sister and brother? Natsu questioned his instructor. Looking at the large egg, she explained in a dejected manner. Well, they went out of town to go find some information about some guild, and they left me with a caretaker, an old lady, but the small village we were living in was attacked by a horde of those big monkeys. I ran into the closest forest, and then I met you. Natsu said whatever came to mind when he saw how depressed she was. Don't worry. Your brother and sister are most likely searching for you, and I'm sure the people are doing well. I swear I'll find them for you as soon as I can sight and smell again. She felt instantly happier, saying, Thank you, Natsu. She leaped up to give him a hug. Oh no! Stop jumping on me, I told you! However, I thought your catching skills were excellent, she chuckled. The following day, the third day. Look! Natsu! The egg is beginning to hatch. Lee-sana excitedly shook Natsu out of his reverie. What? The egg? Drowsily Natsu asked. It's hatching, I said. She was leaping on him now. Is it hatching? I can't see, damn it. Natsu began tugging at his hair. Meow! A blue cat emerges. Did I hear a cat just now? Natsu inquired of the girl. Yes. Yes, you did. A blue cat sprang from the egg. Lee-sana looked at the animal incredulously. Whoa! Thus, how are you feeling? We put in a lot of effort to ensure that the egg hatched. I'm not sure. Happy, I suppose? She murmured, smiling broadly as she held the kitten. Happy? Hello? What if we called him Happy? That's a nice name, Happy. A few hours after that, a young girl and a boy were standing next to a large tree, and a blue cat with wings was flying around the tree. Do you recall this tree? It's the tree that brought the three of us together, she said, gesturing to a large tree with some of its roots protruding from the ground. She went on. She must be referring to the tree where her foot became lodged. As a symbol of our friendship and connection, I'm going to write all of our names here. Natsu, don't ever forget about me since we will always be buddies after this. Else I'll reveal your one and only flaw to others. All right. All right. I will always remember. Natsu raised his hands in surrender. The following day, day 4. Lee-sana! Lee-sana! A white-haired gothic teenage girl shouts into the woods. Lee-sana! Where are you? As she walks under a tree, she notices 3 names written there. Happy, Natsu, and Lee-sana. She must be around here! The adolescent exclaims as she scans the area and spots a hut. She approaches it and peers through the door to see a blue cat being held by her sister and a young kid. Thank God you're all right, she exclaims. Hi, Lee-sana. Have you heard anything? Half sleeping, Natsu asked. Lee-sana muttered in her sleep. Don't worry, Natsu, it probably nothing. With a very evil voice, the girl cracked her knuckles and asked, What do you think you're doing sleeping so close to Lee-sana? Oh my God, Lee-sana! Natsu got up and pointed towards the blur of the teenager. Lee-sana also opens her eyes to see what got Natsu, so grabbed both of her shoulders and said in a serious tone. Lee-sana. I'm sure you won't believe me, but I just heard Happy speak. A drop of perspiration appeared behind Lee-sana's skull. Well, Natsu. That's my sister, Mira. Oh, I'm sure I am. Now tell me who this brat is and what occurred. After cracking her knuckles once again, Mira Jane grinned sadistically. Mira, don't make any snap judgments. I can clarify. A later explanation. Oh, that's quite logical. I apologize for attempting to choke you, Natsu. Mary Jane remarked to a trembling fire breather seated behind Lee-sana. Oh. No worries, I'll be scared for Lee Dash. I mean okay, Natsu gave the opposite direction a thumbs up. Are you certain he isn't blind? Lee-sana turns Natsu in the right way and responds. He says he's getting better every day. Yes. Now I can even smell you. You smell like a collection of wild creatures, Lee-sana, and your sister stinks like the demons Igneel hunts. Mary Jane hit him over the head for that remark. Ai. That is painful. You simply have no idea how to stop talking. Do you? I apologize. Mary Jane yells at a trembling Natsu. Lee-sana claims that I wasn't treated with civility. Happy flies over at that very time, saying, Aye! He yells. For a while, none of the three spoke. Did your feline just? Mary Jane tried to express her desires with hand gestures. Lee-sana exclaimed with disbelief. I think he did. Hee. I knew he was able to speak. All he needed was the proper incentive. Natsu gave a cheer. Sunset. While playing tag with a flying cat and a guy, Mary Jane grinned and said, Well, it's going to be dark soon. We have to go now, Lee-sana. Lee-sana glances in her direction and begs. Will you please let me stay here with Happy and Natsu for a few more days? Would you please? Sorry, Lee-sana, but the boat to Tenro Island leaves tonight, and Elfman is still probably looking for you. However, Mira, I'd rather stay in Natsu. Lee-sana clutched the boy's arms and spoke, tears welling up in her eyes. Lee-sana, how about we take Natsu with us? Mary Jane made an effort to reason with her sensitive sister. Despite knowing that Natsu couldn't see, Lee-sana begged him with her own eyes as she peered into his. Will you join us, Natsu? I'm sorry, Lee-sana, but I'm waiting for Igneel to come back. If I leave with you, he'll be worried. The last time I got lost, he burned down an entire city. Natsu responded in a dejected tone before grinning and saying, But don't worry. One day, I swear, I'll come find you. And if I forget, track me down and use my one weakness to punish me. In this manner, I will undoubtedly come and locate you. She gave him a smile and an embrace in return, and he said, All right, I'll keep that promise, but if you ever forget about me, mister, you'll regret it, she said, gesturing with her finger at him. Releasing him, she grasped her sister's hand. Happy should accompany you, Natsu told the girl. I will be too busy training to be able to take care of him. She gave him another hard glance, as though she was attempting to commit every single characteristic to memory. Okay, she said. Natsu nods absently to Mary Jane's remarks. Come on, let's leave. Oh, and Natsu, in a few years we'll probably join a ninja village, perhaps the Leaf Village. Mary Jane takes her sister's hand and begins to walk as the two children say, See ya later, and give each other a wave. As she pats the cat in her arms, the young girl watches as her companion continues to fade into the distance until he is only a blur. Is this what you're seeing, Natsu? She asks, smiling despite a single tear falling. I hope you don't forget me, Natsu, because I sure won't. End flashback. All right. Sakura cleared her throat and glanced at Lee-sana and Cute Ninja before saying, I guess that's cleared up now. Looks like it was just a misunderstanding. You were a tough youngster. Natsu, the extremely motionless dragon slayer, was commended by Ino, who said, You defeated mercenary ninjas by yourself. Looking at Natsu, Lee-sana said, So. What? Natsu answered. With a furious expression, Lee-sana prodded him in the chest and asked, Is that all you have to say? We recently resolved a significant issue for you. Natsu turned to Cute Ninja and said, I think it just hasn't settled in yet. So your name's Cute Ninja, that fits you. Natsu then began to go toward the restaurant's exit. Hold on. Where are you heading? Adorable Ninja inquired. He gave the two girls a final glance before heading out, saying, I think I need some time to think about this. I promise I'll talk to both of you after I'm done. Headmaster Monument, sunset. Natsu gazed at the fading sun while perched atop the head of the fourth headmaster. Hey Natsu, this is usually my position, says a blonde youngster who sits next to him. Noodle leans on his back and says, I heard a bit about what happened. Would you like to discuss it? I don't know what to talk about, moans Natsu. Let's say you encounter someone you know again after a lengthy absence, but she's not the same person you recalled. How would you respond? Naruto shuts his eyes and says, well, you see, I believe I can connect at least somewhat. But I won't give up just like that. Naruto massaged his eyes, got to his feet, and smiled. I had a teammate who was almost like a brother to me, but one day he left for power. I went to get him back, but he beat me up and left me. I vowed to bring him back. And Naruto keeps his word. Natsu got up as well, saying, yeah. That's the essence. He pumped his fist with the ninja, saying, it made me feel better, but it didn't provide me with a clear solution to my issue. Many thanks, dude. Natsu lands on both feet after leaping off the stone monolith. You're welcome, Naruto said with a smile to his new acquaintance. Apartment building, 2 hours before midnight. After taking a bath, a woman wraps a towel around herself, walks to her cabinet, opens a drawer, and pulls out a black bra and underwear. She puts on her underwear first, then removes the towel to put on her bra. Natsu says, I always thought you were more of a red type person. He is struck by a metal glove and falls off the bed. I didn't know you liked black, he says from beneath the bed linens. You ought to pick up some manners. Don't you know it's rude and indecent to peek at a nude woman? Urza yelled, covering herself with the towel. I didn't. As he stood up, Natsu moaned. I can't find Lisana and Cute Ninja in the entire village. I only came here to ask where they were. They went out for a mission an hour ago, something about a man who kidnaps girls by taking them to his ship and drugging them, Urza says with a sigh and a head rub. I'm not familiar with the specifics. Oh. What comes next? He questioned the knight, who was half naked. You have to leave now before I take you to the hospital. And don't even consider doing this again. Natsu yells as she bolts out the door. Do it to Lucy if you actually must. She likes it. How did he even find me? Urza yelled at the dragon slayer, shaking her head. The headmaster's office the following morning. Tsunade, the Jinchuriki is in peril. A bandaged man with a cane told the woman at the counter. I have a student who can both protect him and be his teammate. You don't have to worry, Danzo. If you haven't heard already, there was a new recruit. He will be Nerda's new teammate and bodyguard, Tsunade said with a sly smile. Who is going to be his second teammate then? You can't pair him with your apprentice. That would destroy the close combat squad you established, the elderly guy inquired. All right, I'll agree. What's your apprentice's name? Moans the headmaster. As he approaches the door, the man says, Sai, that is his name. The headmaster's office after 2 hours. In front of the headmaster stood 3 teenagers. So why are we in this place? Natsu questioned the curvaceous woman. Yes. And why is this guy with us here? Nida gestured to a pale teenage male who was grinning while keeping his eyes closed. His name is Sai, and he will be your new teammate, she responded. What? This guy is not what I desire. Why can't you pair me up with my buddy Natsu here? Nida said, grabbing Natsu and pointing at him. Natsu is also your teammate. You need at least 3 people for a team, so you'll have to pair up with Sai. Grinning at Nida and Natsu, Sai shook Nida's hand and said, Nice to meet you, Dickless. Don't refer to me as that creep. And remember, your assistance won't be required after Nida's friend has been saved. Nida scowled at the boy who was still grinning. People shouldn't smile like that, Natsu said, shivering as he glanced at the pale teen. The headmaster cleared her throat. Now, according to our intel, Kabuto should be at the bridge in 6 days. You will search the area for an ambush, and if there isn't one, then the team's senior will impersonate Sasori and gather information about Nida friend's whereabouts from Kabuto. Natsu held up his hand. In an annoyed tone, Tsunade remarked, You don't have to raise your hand, Natsu. Can I burn this puppet guy if he tries an ambush? Natsu said, setting his palm on fire. Smirking, the headmaster said, It's what I'm paying you for. After 10 minutes, the village gate. Sai was staring at Nida and Natsu with a false smile as they engaged in a staring contest. Natsu pumped his fist in triumph as Nida blinked, saying, Ha! I'm unbeatable at this, I told you! I bet you can't beat me a second time, Nida said, squinting at the dragon slayer. Natsu laughed. As much as I'd love to beat you again, I think we should do it later. I smell wood. Can you smell if Dickless has any balls in his pants? Sai questioned, turning to face Natsu. Natsu had a perplexed expression. Why would I do that? When a wooden cage appeared around Sai, Nida was prevented from punching him. A brown-haired woman with large round eyes, said the blonde ninja. That's enough for you too. He is to blame. Naruto gestured at Sai and said, he simply doesn't know how to shut up. Funny coming from you, you're the one who doesn't know how to shut his mouth, answered Sai. So this was made by you, Natsu said, prodding the wood that had suddenly materialized. He questioned the man. After releasing Naruto, the man nodded and said, my name is Yamato, and I will be your captain for this mission. Whatever became of Sensei, the sixth headmaster? Naruto inquired. He's in the hospital. He used too much core energy on his last mission, Yamato responded. We should properly introduce ourselves. You already know my name, so tell me yours. Naruto spoke first. My name is Naruto, and I enjoy eating ramen, but I dislike the amount of time it takes to prepare it. My goal is to become the headmaster in the future and save my Naruto friends. I also collect ramen cups as a pastime, along with Sai. My name is Sai. My hobby is drawing and I like giving new people I meet a heartwarming nickname. Natsu raised his thumb and said, my name's Natsu. My hobby is burning stuff and watching things burn. I like fishing and I don't like machine transportation. My dream is to protect all of my friends and help them live a long, happy life. Cough chai ppi cough was Sai's coughing sound. Now that the introductions are over, how about we go? In the direction of the Tenchi Bridge, the four men began to stroll. The forest near the Tenchi Bridge the day before the meeting. Do you smell anything, Natsu? Yamato questioned the dragon slayer. Nothing, just weed and grass, said Natsu, shaking his head. Sai, how about you? Sai was sitting in front of a blank scroll when ink rats began to appear and blend into the paper, creating a message that said, it's just as the hippie said, only weed and grass. With his arms folded, Naruto said, we should just go to the bridge, there's nothing here. I suppose you're correct. Yamato led his group away, saying, come on, let's check the bridge. A man with a half-black and half-white face with flora wrapped about him emerges from the ground after they have all departed. The white side remarks, looks like they left. They appear to have, the black side said. It's time to call in Sasori. Evening, -1 kilometer from Tenchi Bridge. The four guys were on a clear route through the forest, with trees around them on all sides. A shadow moved in the branches, and 12 strings of core energy sprang from it. So, Natsu, how did you become so powerful? The Dragon Slayer was asked by Naruto. After giving it some thought, Natsu responded, hard training and a lot of time. The straightforward response impressed Naruto. Really? That implies that I can also do it, correct? Natsu scratched his nose and crossed his arms, saying, no, I think it's because I'm so amazing. Oh, here. Naruto gestured to Natsu with his finger. Okay, so, if we were to battle one-on-one, I'm sure I could defeat you. It's on, Natsu said, his eyes blazing. They each pause, turn to face one another, and then leap out of the path of 100 poison darts. I could smell some awful marijuana. I can smell you there, exclaimed Natsu, pointing to a tree. Before I burn you, go out. Yamato pressed his hand into the ground and said, spirit art from the forest prison. The trees Natsu pointed at suddenly grew and started moving. The branches entangled a man wearing a black cloak and red clouds. His hair was crimson. The man's eyes moved to the fore. It seems you caught me. After examining their surroundings, Natsu's eyes enlarge and he says, take cover. It's a poison bomb. Just before the entangled man detonated in a green and purple explosion, Yamato creates a wooden ball around each of them. Looks like they survived, not for long, says a man impersonating the original, leaps down from another tree and spots the wooden ball. Natsu ignited his hand on fire for illumination, and Yamato panicked inside as the ball began to dissolve quickly. What do we do? I don't think this thing can hold for long. How about you open this, and I ram my fist into the first thing I see moving? He asked. Yamato shakes his head. No. We don't have a medication or an antidote for the effects of the gas that is dissolving the wood outdoors, which could poison you. I'll worry about the poison later, says Natsu, glancing at the melting barrier. Outside, near to the wooden ball, he fires his fist and punches the earth. A blaze of flames emerges from the ground, and Natsu leaps out of the hole. Take this, Fire Dragon's Iron Fist! The puppet master was unable to react before he was punched in the face. Natsu watches as the headless body begins to move and then shoots a stream of water from its palms, knocking him back to a nearby tree and pinning him under the water pressure. No good, I'll have to use it, he says, breathing in the air and placing his hands in front of his mouth. Fire Dragon's Breath Attack! The Akatsuki member is completely incinerated when a revolving stream of fire emerges from Natsu's lips, countering the stream of water. Natsu begins taking deep, lengthy breaths, but each time he feels weaker. Why is my chest hurting so much? He asks himself as he falls to his knees and clutches his chest. Suddenly, he stops moving and lets out a loud scream. Gaia! At this point, the gas vanishes along with the wooden barrier, and Naruto rushes to Natsu's aid, followed by Yamato and Sai. Captain Yamato, what should we do? Naruto gently places Natsu on his back and asks. Will you kindly assist him? There's nothing I can do, this is what I was talking about, I warned him not to do this. Yamato exhales. We have no medical personnel. That is correct. The puppet master glares at the dragon slayer. I don't know why he isn't dying though. A duplicate of the Akatsuki member leaps down from another tree and approaches them slowly. He is suffering from a toxic gas which dissolves carbon-based objects. His blood is dissolving and he is probably having a heart attack. Pulling out a kunai, Naruto stands in front of his fallen buddy and says, You must first get through me. Then he surveys the woods and asks, How many bodies does this guy have? Sai draws 2 ink tigers and is shot with a needle at the same time that Yamato transforms his arm into wooden vines and attempts to bind Sasori, but core energy strings suddenly cover his entire body. Are my strings to your liking? Sasori approaches Yamato and says, These core energy strings are special, they are directly connected to your spine, you won't be moving much. He then approaches Sai and says, You are paralyzed and helpless in front of a dangerous S-ranked ninja, won't you show me some of your fear? When you realize it was all for nothing, I want to document that moment. After hurling the kunai at Sasori, Naruto charges toward him while brandishing a Rasengan, saying, Take this, he strikes the victim squarely in the chest. Is that your only option, boy? I'm disappointed, did you really think you stood a chance? The man asks as metal cables emerge from the wound in his chest. Take a look around you. How many of him are there? He asks, making a hand gesture. Time for shadow clones, he's not the only one who can make copies of himself. Before Naruto can shout his technique, a smoke bomb mixed with knockout gas explodes next to him, knocking him out of consciousness. Naruto looks around and sees his captain surrounded by multiple Sasori. Sai wasn't moving, and Sai was surrounded by 10 Sasori. Then, in the trees, he sees an army of Sasori. Then, approaching the still yelling Natsu, Sasori whispers in his ear. You're a disgrace to dragon slayers, you couldn't even protect your friends from just me alone. This was too easy. Natsu's eyes enlarge, and he stops his unceasing yelling by grabbing Sasori's leg. No one! My friends are hurt. Scales begin to form on Natsu's skin, and the temperature of the surrounding region rises. What's up with you? The puppet master shouts. The trees start burning and dark clouds start gathering. Natsu smirks. Lightning flame bomb! All of the Sasori puppets are struck by hundreds of thunderbolts, and Natsu lets out a fire explosion. Next day, the same place. A dragon slayer, that's what he is, Yamato says as he gets up from the ground and tries to walk, only to fall back on his ass after witnessing what happened. This hole is as big as the village, he says, referring to the enormous crater that was at least half a kilometer in diameter, with the trees reduced to ash and the inside of it black. In order to wake Sai, Naruto also gets up and kicks him. Wakey! Wake up! That's not very nice, Dickless. Stop talking! And assist me in locating Natsu! Black, black, ash, ash, pink. Found him! Naruto exclaims as he surveys the crater. Yamato and Naruto dash to the dragon slayer in the middle of the crater. I can hear his heartbeat, says Yamato, kneeling and placing his ear against Natsu's chest. He's alive! He exclaims. Naruto jumps and pumps his fist. Yeah. For you, that's Natsu. Naruto, he inhaled a lot of that gas, he won't be getting up anytime soon, Naruto says as he tries to shake Natsu awake. Sai approaches the dragon slayer, stands beside him, and lifts a leg, saying, Perhaps we ought to kick him. Before Sai can lower his foot, Naruto tackles him, saying, I'll start, I heard hippies like it tough. I'm warning you, Sai. Don't mess with my pal or me. Releasing himself from Naruto's hold, Sai says, I let you tackle me, Dickless. Fuck you. Before Naruto can tackle Sai once more, Yamato grabs him and says, That's enough. I need the two of you to collaborate and work together because Natsu is hurt and unable to assist us on our goal. Naruto folds his arms and says, All right. As long as he doesn't interfere with me, he gestures at Sai. I'm fine with that, Naruto, said Sai, nodding. That's better, let's get to the bridge, there's no use in trying to find Sasori's body. I think Natsu completely incinerated him. Yamato nods after glancing at each of them. But how did we survive? He asks. After carrying the unconscious dragon slayer's body, the 3 men made their way to Tenchi Bridge. A black and white guy who resembles a plant emerges from the ground and observes them go. The white side remarks, My, looks like Sasori's truly dead. The black half responds. I have to tell this to leader. And the man vanishes back into the earth. An hour later, Tenchi Bridge. Yamato, disguised as Sasori, walked to Kabuto while Naruto, Sai, and a sleeping Natsu waited behind a tree. Maybe we should attack while we still can. Kabuto's a dangerous guy, Naruto murmured. Sai said nothing and continued to stare. So Sasori, what did you want to know? I can't be here for long. I left without telling Lord Snake Man, said Yamato, who was standing next to Kabuto. Tell me the location of Snake Man's current hideout. Well, it's in dash. Kabuto halts mid-sentence when Snake Man unexpectedly shows up at the bridge and strikes Yamato. The wood user avoids the tongue hit, but his Sasori disguise is shattered and injured, and Yamato leaps back and into a battle posture. Sai and Naruto stand up and say, Captain Yamato, I'm coming! So what's the plan? Naruto murmurs as they board the bridge and stand by Yamato. After glancing around, Yamato responds, Give me some time. Do you remember me if it's not little Naruto? Snake Man teased. I nearly killed you in the forest of death, and Naruto's friend dislikes discussing you. A dark red core energy begins to be released by Naruto. Don't you utter his name! You're a monster! Naruto jumps at Snake Man with claws made of red core energy. The Sannin dodge the claws and jump to the other side of the bridge. Naruto's attack damages the bridge. Sai and Yamato retreat back to the other side of the bridge. Naruto follows Snake Man and Kabuto as he keeps charging, then, he forms 4 tails of red core energy. Snake Man's lips form a smirk. Interesting. He shoves his arms forward and dozens of snakes come out towards Naruto. The cloaked Naruto also shoves one of his arms forward. It stretches, then grabs the snakes and squeezes them to death. Snake Man drops himself to the ground and opens his mouth. Hundreds of snakes and cobras with swords coming out of their mouths headed to Naruto's direction. Naruto's tails whip around and strikes all the snakes headed to him. Then he shoots his hand into the ground. The hand pops out on the spot Snake Man was standing. The Sannin tries to dodge the strike but gets ripped in half with the force. The unmoving body's mouth opens and 2 hands come out. The hands stretch the mouth wide open and another Snake Man comes out. In order to form a dark purple ball of core energy that falls to the ground, Naruto releases blue and black balls of core energy from his body, then positions his tails in front of him. His mouth opens and consumes the ball. Snake Man's eyes enlarge as he performs hand seals for a defensive spirit art. How is he going to use that dense core energy? He asks. Naruto lets out a huge red beam of energy as his stomach expands and steam begins to emerge from his mouth. In order to shield the Sannin from the Bijou bomb, Snake Man presses his palms down and exclaims, Triple Rashomon! 3 enormous metal gates emerge in front of him. The destructive beam strikes the gates, destroying the first 2 and denting the third. The final gate vanishes in a cloud of smoke. Snake Man raises his neck and opens his mouth, releasing a blade that stretches and strikes the shrouded Naruto, driving him back toward the bridge. At the bridge again, Natsu opens her eyes and says, Oh, what took place? He turns to see Sai and Yamato sprinting for a tree. Sai, get under cover! As Naruto, in his cloaked form, strikes the location adjacent to Natsu, Yamato ducks behind the tree and Sai vanishes behind another tree. Sniffing the air, Natsu says, Naruto? Is that you? When the Dragon Slayer notices a sword attempting to impale the red-tailed demon, Natsu snatches the long blade and begins raising it before swinging it downward onto the ground while Snake Man is still connected. With Kabuto's assistance, the Sannin slowly rises as the blade begins to withdraw into Snake Man's mouth. Should we abandon Lord Snake Man? Come out before I kill you, Snake Man says with a smirk before using his snakes to hit a spot on the ground. Wait, I have an offer for you, says Sai as he emerges from the earth. And what might that be? Asks Snake Man, crossing his arms. Sai offers the Sannin a stack of papers after dropping his bag and approaching him gently. As all is going on, back at the demolished bridge, when the hooded Naruto strikes Natsu with his claws as he tries to approach his friend, he stares at his arm and says, I burned my arm. Before Yamato leaps out and entangles the hooded ninja with his wood, saying, Get away, I'll handle this. Yamato begins employing a method that begins to seal the energy of the Nine Tails core back into Naruto. As Naruto's burned skin begins to mend quickly, Natsu approaches Yamato and asks, What was that energy? Yamato asks Naruto, That was the Nine Tails core energy. Raising his head, Naruto surveys the wreckage and asks, Did I do this? Did I do that to you? He asks, noticing the burn on Natsu's arm. Yeah, man, says Natsu, massaging his burn. When you were using that weird core energy, you were a badass. When Natsu starts coughing unexpectedly, Yamato opens his bag and takes out a medication, saying, Take this, it should help with creating new blood. Naruto glances about and asks, Where's Sai? back with Sai and Snake Man. What does Danzo intend to do? Snake Man asks, reading and examining the files that have been handed to him. Sai is gazing at the sky. He wants to be headmaster, even if he has to destroy the village and rebuild it to become one. The Sannin laughs. That old fool is still as crazy about the position of headmaster up till today. What are you doing, Sai? Nida yells as he leaps in front of them. Pulling out a kunai, Nida says, Don't force me to fight you. Hidden shadow snakes. Snake Man says, glancing at the blonde before hitting him with his snakes. Nida gets knocked to the ground. Snake Man hands the files to his apprentice. Kabuto! Leave unnecessary things behind. We don't have time for this. Kabuto says, glancing at Sai before bolting for the trees with the Sannin. Sai nods and follows the two after taking a quick peek at his bag on the floor, which still contains his scrapbook. Nida stands up and says, Wait. I haven't finished yet. Natsu and Yamato show up, saying, Wait a minute. We have no idea where they're heading, Yamato asks Natsu. Are you able to find them? You shouldn't even ask, Natsu says, taking a scrapbook out of Sai's backpack. After a smell, I'll know where they've been living for the past 6 months. After 2 hours, at Snake Man's hiding place. When Yamato opens a door and discovers Sai inside, Nida rushes to seize Sai's collar and asks, What do you think you're doing, Sai? I was sent here to kill Nida friend Uchiha. Sai says, glancing at the three. But weren't we supposed to rescue this guy? Natsu asks, scratching his head. Nida notices that Sai is lying when he says, Lord Danzo sent me here to kill him. Yamato looks Sai in the eyes and asks, What is your actual mission? At last, Sai gives up and confesses. Lord Danzo is planning to destroy the village. Natsu picks him up from his collar and says, I'm not gonna let that happen. Yamato binds Sai with his wood and says, Let's get back outside, we don't know the layout of this place. After tying Sai up outdoors, Nida sighs and asks Yamato and Natsu, What now? Now you're going to die, says Kabuto as he cuts Sai's ties behind them. When Nida, Yamato, and Natsu turn around, they see Kabuto and Sai standing together. Raising his palm wrapped in core energy, Kabuto sprints in Yamato's direction, with Sai right after. When Kabuto tries to strike Yamato, the woodsman sidesteps and throws his wooden arm at him. Kabuto leaps, but Sai catches his leg, and the pale kid slams him to the ground. Kabuto grunts. What do you think you're doing? Yamato uses his wood style to tie him up. Kneeling before Kabuto, Sai says, I'm doing what I want to do. That's the right choice, says Nida, patting Sai on the back. Nida's right. If you had tried to help this guy, then I would have had to kick your ass, says Natsu, slapping Sai on the back. Nida friend is not the same person you remember him to be, this whole mission of yours is pointless. Kabuto murmurs under his breath as Yamato grabs him and says, You are going to tell us how to find Nida friend Uchiha. Natsu approaches Kabuto, looks at the ninja who is bound, and then kicks him. The Dragon Slayer ignites his fist on fire and approaches the ninja, saying, We'll decide what's pointless. And you're starting to look very disposable. I've been poisoned, knocked out, and had to blow up a forest to get here. You'll tell us exactly what we want to know. After a short while, inside the hideout. Ag! He yelled, and Natsu gripped his head. Nida grabbed his shoulders and shook him, saying, Natsu! What's wrong? Are you still hurt from the poison? Shaking his head, the Dragon Slayer exclaimed, No, I'm just so bored. Well, I guess we have been walking in circles for a while now, says Yamato, scratching his head. That's it. Natsu smiled, his eyes brightening. Excited that the Dragon Slayer had discovered his friend, Nida exclaimed, What? I'll just blow the entire roof off. Problem solved, Natsu said, burning his fist. No way, shouted Yamato and Nida as they leaped on him. Too late, Natsu said, lifting his fist from beneath them and pointing it at the roof. Boom. What the hell, man? You blew the roof off. Why would you do that? So, this is what emotions do to a person's behavior. It's very interesting. They all four got up and brushed themselves off. Quit your whining. I found him, didn't I? Nida friend dash. Nida turned to face the portion of the roof that had survived the explosion and saw a dark-haired youngster standing on its edge, dressed like Snake Man. The teenager looked at the blonde and said, Nida, you still look like an idiot. Shut up and get down here, Nida friend. We're here to rescue you. Rescue me? Nida's companion tilted his head. Yeah. So come on. Nida nodded. The friend of Nida leaped beside him, wrapped one arm around his neck in an odd embrace, and whispered, "Who said I wanted to be rescued?" He carefully took his blade out of its sheath, saying, "All these years, you've wasted your time looking for me." He held the blade above the blonde, saying, "When you should have been training to get stronger." The blade descended in an arc toward the blonde's head, but a hand stopped it before it could hurt her. "Why is Naruto a friend?" Naruto asked in a stupor. The dragon slayer was looked at by Naruto's companion, who said, "Who do you think you are? I could kill you here and now." "I'm Natsu Dragneel," Natsu said, grabbing the Uchiha's shirt and throwing him into the air. A few feet distant, Naruto's pal landed without any issues. "I gave you your chance to live," he said, sheathing his blade and raising his arm as 3 balls of lightning began to swirl around the Uchiha. "Thunder power Saban!" he exclaimed as the arm began to flare up in blue electricity. The area was engulfed in smoke when a shower of lightning needles struck the group. When Naruto's companion turned around, he was struck with a hot fist to the cheek, sending him flying and landing on his back. "HMP!" he exclaimed as an arm gripped his shoulder. Natsu approached the Uchiha slowly. "You didn't win yet!" Naruto's companion arose, fired up a thunder power, and went to the dragon slayer, shouting, "Take this! Thunder power!" The lightning-covered fist struck Natsu in the chest, but it had no effect and began to fade. "What was that? You're supposed to have a gaping hole in your chest!" exclaimed Naruto's friend, but Natsu shook his head slowly and said, "That little snack isn't enough for me." Natsu lit his arm with lightning, which grew larger and larger until it resembled a dragon's head with its jaws wide open. "Let me show you what real lightning tastes like," he said, slamming his fist into Uchiha's bulging eyes. Out of his reverie, Naruto exclaimed, "Lightning Dragon's Claw! Don't kill him, Natsu!" Summoning Spirit Art. The Dragon Slayer and the Uchiha were separated by Manda, the snake boss, when the smoke cloud vanished. The enormous snake turned to face the Uchiha and muttered, "You ungrateful brat!" as it looked down at its abdomen and saw that everything had been blown out, including its guts, bones, and a huge hole that nearly went through him. The only thing that remained was a layer of scales covering the Uchiha from the explosion's residual shock. As the snake took its final breath, its head struck the ground and its eyes slowly closed. Snake Man and Kabuto emerged in a cloud of smoke beside Naruto's friend as he slowly stood up. "None of you are leaving here until I say so," Natsu said, gesturing to the trio. Kabuto nodded and made a hand signal when the Snake Man pushed him, asking, "Is the seal ready? It should last us a couple of hours, maybe 3 at best." An invisible wall halted Natsu as he sprang to the 3. With a Rasengan, Naruto went to the 3 and exclaimed, "What the dash? Let me out before I fry your asses! You're not gonna leave like this, Naruto friend." The blue ball of rotating core energy struck the barrier but quickly vanished. "What is this?" Natsu set his arms on fire, saying, "I don't have that kind of time." Sai stares at the seals on the ground outside the barrier. "It looks like it'll last a couple of hours." Lightning formed in his left hand, and crimson flames emerged in his right, before he slammed them together and exclaimed, "Dragon's burning lightning!" The explosion engulfed the interior of the barrier. Slowly, Naruto, Sai, and Yamato emerged from a wooden shield that resembled a cocoon. "Natsu! Stop! The more kinetic energy this barrier is hit with, the stronger it gets," Sai said, preventing the Dragon Slayer from trying again. Kabuto and Snake Man begin to leave. "Let's go, Naruto friend, they'll be there for a while." "This isn't over, Dragneel," said Naruto's companion as she turned to face Natsu after beginning to walk.